Hey there, PSA. My name's Jose Dizan.
And my name is Justine Rich.
And welcome to another edition of Aralin, a video series that aims to showcase the unique history and culture of the Philippines.
So we hope that through this series, as we continue, that you guys will continue to be able to learn something about Filipino culture in an easy and accessible way. So today's topic is kind of a lesser known subject, more focused on history, but it's very important to the history of the Philippines and the landscape of how culture in the Philippines changed.
Today's topic is the Philippine-American War. So, let's get into it.
So before we get started, actually, I'd like to introduce our intern for this semester.
Introducing Katrina Monreal.
Hello.
She's going to be helping us with some of the research and stuff that's involved in the Aralin series.
Hi, I'm Katrina Monreal. I'm a freshman and I'm currently studying industrial design, and I am currently interning for, I'm the only intern for awareness, and I wanted to intern for awareness because I think it's really important. I think that both historical and current political events, understanding the current political climate, and just understanding what is going on right now is really significant. The reason that I interned is because I figured it would be kind of killing two birds with one stone, because I'm particularly interested in learning about my culture in the current tense, and so just being able to explain that to others is a really important thing to me. And so I think it's one thing to know history, but I think it's another thing to understand it in context currently, because we do have family there, and that is significant coming back towards me too, I guess.
As one of our events as awareness this year, we showed a movie called Heneral Luna. It's one of the highest grossing independent films from the Philippines, and it outlines the life of Filipino military general Artikulo Luna and the role he played in the Philippine-American War. It was a fun event with some good discussion afterwards, but in case you couldn't make it, here's a recap.
In the late 1890s, the Philippine Revolution was well underway. Spain had a weaker hold on the nation that was eventually broken when the Spanish lost against the Americans in a one-sided war. The Filipino rebels, led by the eventual first president Emilio Aguinaldo, had a hand in the removal of the Spanish from the nation and occupied most of Luzon. But their independence was never fully secured due to the forced American entry into Manila, the capital. The imperialist attitude by the US government was at an extremely high level during this era as well.
America is destined for better deeds. It is our unparalleled glory that we have no reminiscences of battlefields, but in defense of humanity, of the oppressed of all nations, of the rights of conscience, their rights of personal enfranchisement. Our annals describe no scenes of horrid carnage where men were led on by hundreds of thousands to slay one another. Nor have the American people ever suffered themselves to be led on by wicked ambition to spread desolation far and wide that a human being might be placed on a seat of supremacy. We are the nation of human progress, and who will, or can, set limits to our onward march? It is surely the manifest destiny of the United States to lead in the attempt to make this spirit prevail.
The Filipino rebels protested at this, and the first shots were fired in Manila on February 4, 1899. This marked the start of the Philippine-American War.
It's really cool. I grew up Philippine history class. I was from the Philippines. I grew up learning about Pedro Paterno and Heneral Luna and all his brothers and Emilio Aguinaldo. So it's really cool to have a representation visually, and to think that it's for an independent movie. It's so cool. The cinematography, everything, it's so cool. So like there's a sense of pride seeing what you learn in the books come to life like that.
Yeah, I do think that it should be taught here because it's still like a Filipino-American thing, and so Americans, it's part of our history here as well, and so that's significant, and it should be explained upon with the context of like imperialism or colonialism or something like that.
Yeah, definitely, because considering that the Philippines is one of the U.S.'s first colony, and we have this really special relationship up until this point, and the Filipino-American community is so strong in the U.S. that I feel like, especially in cities where there's a lot of Filipinos, like in California, I don't know, these pieces of culture, it deserves to be heard.
Okay. One of the things that I want to talk about in this video series is the cultural impact that the Philippines had from the colonial powers that colonized the Philippines. Regarding Spain, the main way that they controlled the nation of the Philippines was through religion and the name of God in Catholicism. When the United States colonized the Philippines, they used education, more specifically the introduction of the English language into the education system, as well as modeling the educational system of the Philippines after the American system.
So these effects are definitely something that like you still see today. I remember I hadn't heard anything about the Philippine-American War specifically, but I remember talking to my dad about the school system over there, and he was telling me about how, school is completely taught in English, so of course they learned English, but they were also required to take some number of semesters of Spanish classes also, and then they learned the official language, Tagalog, but none of those three languages that they learned in school were my parents' native language either, because my parents speak Bisaya. And so you see these effects, like Spanish still has some influence in the Philippines. Catholicism is still very prevalent in the Philippines. And because of the U.S. colonization, everything's also in English now too.
Philippines!
So I'm sure you guys remember Miss Philippines won Miss Universe 2015. And one of the questions that she was asked was actually very relevant to this topic, keeping in mind everything we saw in the movie. So let's hear it.
Hello.
Hi.
Good. All right, here is your question. Earlier this year, there was a controversy in the Philippines about the United States reopening a military base in your country. Do you think the United States should have a military presence in your country?
I think that the United States and the Philippines has always had a good relationship with each other. We were colonized by the Americans, and we have their culture and our traditions even up to this day. And I think that we're very welcoming with the Americans, and I don't see any problem with that at all.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Thank you.
I agree with Pia that yes, because there has been a special relationship between the US, they should continue that relationship, especially given this time that China is just up in our butts, trying to take our territory. We need all the help that we can get. But I feel there has to be more of a joint effort rather than just the U.S. coming to the Philippines. It has to be, the name of the program is Balikatan. Balikatan, when you translate it, it's basically helping each other. It should be, if anything, a cultural exchange or an exchange in knowledge, rather than just one party being in another party's territories.
Mm-hmm.
Alright guys, so I guess that just about wraps it up. Hope you learned something new. And announcement, our next Aralin, the topic is going to be Pinoy Pride. So
Look forward to that video.
Definitely going to involve more of you guys. So I'll definitely be looking for people to interview. So message me if you're interested. I'll probably be sending out a Google form as well.
So, my name is Jose Dizan.
And I'm Justine Rich, your awareness co-chairs for this year.
Thanks for watching, guys.